You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk, or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Sometimes writers feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My name is Jessie. I'm a United States Special Forces widow. This gives me a unique perspective on the world around us. If you're willing to listen, I'll tell you how I see it, and I won't pull any punches. This is my POV, which stands for Point of View.
All right, it's Jessie. How y'all doing out there today? Yes, I miss you when we're not talking. Big shout out to a former guest and Twitter follower, Lee Williams. He is HT_gunwriter. And our episode together was paid what I consider the highest compliments. One of my retired Spec Ops friends said you did an outstanding job. So, just wanted to give you a quick shout out there, Lee, and hope you're listening. Alright, I thank all of you who put up with me last night. I got off on Niger and wasn't quite myself by the end of the show. So I did cut out just a little bit early, because quite frankly, I was losing the plot. And I didn't want to just go on a rant. Now, there is a lot going on in the world. Yeah, I know. I've said it plenty of times. I will say it again. Of this, I am certain. Now, I've got a lot of stuff to cover. Not much time to cover it. I am going to stay away from Niger for just a little bit, but I want to bring to your attention something that didn't get, well, in my opinion, the coverage it deserved, and that was a vote on the floor of the UN Security Council today. It was about continuing or discontinuing the investigation into Assad's use of chemical weapons. And the representative of the United States did an excellent job, even though it was not Nikki Haley. The vote did not pass thanks to a veto from Russia. And let's see if I can get this queued up to the right spot. All right. And I'm going to let you listen to that audio while I grab my show prep off the printer. Just waiting for the right spot.
Thank you, Mr. President. As I just said before the vote, it is not every day that this council considers an issue that is so horrific, so shocking to the conscience as the use of chemical weapons against civilians. And today is an important day on the calendar. It is UN Day, in which we, the peoples of the United Nations, recommit to unite as the UN Charter Preamble states to maintain international peace and security. We all know there has long been an international norm against the use of chemical weapons because they are so cruel and so indiscriminate as never to be justified. In one of our rare moments of unity, this council appropriately condemned chemical weapons attacks in Syria. We even collaborated on creating an independent, impartial body to investigate confirmed cases of chemical weapons use. This body is comprised of internationally recognized independent experts. It employs professional, scientific means of investigating attacks and identifying those responsible. And yet, this body is under attack by the Syrian regime's allies. And the question we must ask ourselves is whether the JIM is being attacked because it has failed in its job to determine the truth in Syria, or because its conclusions have been politically inconvenient for some council members. We have just voted on a short, simple resolution to extend the mandate of the Joint Investigative Mechanism, also known as the JIM. We mandated this technical body to investigate chemical weapons attacks on the innocent men, women, and children of Syria, composed of experts from the United Nations and the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, OPCW. The JIM has a simple task: to find out who ordered and carried out the use of these weapons in Syria. The United States and 10 other members of the Council voted in favor of this resolution today, as it is clear to us that there is more work to be done and more chemical weapons attacks to investigate. The JIM has been successful in its work, and we want that vital work to continue without interruption in its operations. We want to know the truth about these attacks regardless of where it takes us. The United States deeply regrets that one member of this council vetoed this text, putting political considerations over the misery of Syrian civilians who have suffered and died from the use of chemical weapons. The reasons offered fool no one this morning. We reject this cynicism, and we reaffirm our confidence in these technical experts, men and women who come from many regions, many backgrounds, and many perspectives. They knew their work would be attacked by Syria's allies, yet have carried out their mandate effectively and responsibly.
All right, the representative on the floor, I don't have her name available. However, she was calling out none other than Russia. Yes, she was calling out none other than Russia. Now, just as a reminder, folks, you want to interact with me while I am live? You've got two ways to do it. You can tag me in a tweet, because I do keep my notifications tab up. I do not keep my news feed up, because that would get me quite distracted. But I do keep my notifications tab up, and I also am in the chat room at klrnradio.com/chat. Yes, you are welcome to join me there. All right. Back to the rest of this story. And of course I don't have everything sorted. Come on. I would never be that organized, would I? Who are we kidding? I don't think I could do it. But yes, Russia vetoed the UN resolution. Russia vetoed a United Nations Security Council resolution to extend an investigation into the use of chemical weapons in Syria. Russia and Bolivia voted against the resolution. The vote was 11 for, 2 against, and 2 abstaining. Now, the resolution was not passed due to a negative vote by one of the permanent members, i.e. Russia. Of course, the US, the UK, and other countries condemned Russia's decision to veto the extension of the inquiry known as the Joint Investigative Mechanism, or JIM, which expires November 17th. By preventing the mandate extension of the gas attacks, the probe they helped set up, Russia has dealt a huge blow to justice in Syria. And I'm sorry, I believe Russia is complicit in these attacks. Don't have the proof yet, but you know me. I'm working on it. I enjoy chasing these things down. What can I say? And when I find it, I'll let you know. All right. So there's other things going on in the world. And there's even other Russia news. Yes. Now, I'm only going to cover this briefly because I have a feeling that many of my counterparts on KLRNRadio.com will cover it further. And for those of you that don't know, we sold 20% of our uranium in this country to a Russian company. Yes, I said 20%. This sale happened under the Obama administration, and Hillary Clinton was one of a number of cabinet officials that had to sign off. Now, she wasn't the only one. However, there are questions about whether or not there was an FBI investigation into this company at the time of the sale. Also, let's talk Russia just a little bit further. Indulge me here. Trust me, we'll get to North Korea. There is a ransomware virus striking Ukraine and Russia. It's called Bad Rabbit. And it bears similarities to the WannaCry and PETA outbreaks earlier this year. We don't know how far, of course, this is going to be able to spread. And, of course, please don't pay the ransom. There are other ways to get your computer sorted out. And the ransom is not from a government agency. It is from what I would like to term cyber terrorists. Now, of course, Russia is pushing to control cyberspace. But they're not the only ones. There is a Kremlin campaign to rewrite the rules for global cyberspace. Yes, I just said rewrite the rules for global cyberspace. A draft Russian proposal for the new United Nations Convention on Cooperation in Combating Information Crime is a 54-page document document, including 72 proposed articles covering collection of internet traffic by authority, codes of conduct for cyberspace, and joint investigation of malicious activity. Sounds bureaucratic. However, the Kremlin's proposed convention would enhance the ability of Russia and other authoritarian nations to control communications within their countries, to gain access to communications in other countries, and more. I mean, this is a way that they can basically control what their countries see, hear, and what access they have. Just think of the dissidents in the foreign countries. Now, of course, Russia has some global support for its effort. China, Brazil, India, and South Africa all recognize the need for a universal regulatory binding instrument on combating the use of information and communications technologies. However, I'm gonna sit here and go, guys, this don't sound so hot. If it's good for Russia, is it really something we should be pushing for? Alright, we are going to get into North Korea, and I even have a lighthearted South Korea story in just a moment. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten. Why do we have 2 aircraft carriers in the Asia-Pacific region? You're just going to have to hang on to your hat and find out. Because there are other things I want to cover before I get there. Because we all know once I go there, it's going to turn into a quagmire. So let's start with the South China Sea. China's military has boosted the capabilities of the South China Sea Fleet with the addition of salvage and rescue squadron equipment with boats and divers. Chinese vessels operate in the 3.5 million square kilometer, which is 1.35 million square mile sea, had formerly been forced to rely on salvage and rescue squadron based in northern China. The South China Sea unit is now equipped with rescue craft and equipment along with divers to minimize losses and accidents to protect marine engineers. The People's Liberation Navy missions have been in the area have been expanding. Now, Secretary of State Tillerson, of course, is in the Asia-Pacific region. And he has criticized China over its island building and expansive territorial claims. Trust me, there's a lot there. And I don't have time to go into it all, but all I'm going to say is notice how you haven't heard anything on the South China Sea since North Korea started acting a fool. All you ever hear about on the mainstream media is North Korea. And it's one of those things that I think brings to the head why China may be comfortable with North Korea acting a fool. Yeah. Because it has everybody kind of looking over there instead of looking where they need to look to see what is going on in the South China Sea. Because trust me, there is a lot going on in the South China Sea that you don't hear about. Remember, China was taken to the International Court of Arbitration. And China basically said, we don't care. We are going to do what we want to do, and you can take a long walk, world, you can take a long walk off a short plank. Now, when's the last time you heard about Brexit? No, I'm not going to go into all of it. You ought to know at least the overall thumbnail version. Brexit is an interesting thing. Now, doesn't mean everybody likes it. Early transition deals, the hopes of that happening smoothly are fading. Now, Donald Tusk said that the UK, of course, let's bring you up to speed. The United Kingdom, Great Britain, is due to leave the European Union at the end of March 2019. Let's take just a quick listen to what he had to say.
As for the Brexit negotiations, we have managed to build and maintain unity among the 27. But ahead of us is still the toughest stress test. If we fail it, the negotiations will end in our defeat. We must keep our unity regardless of the direction of the talks. The EU will be able to rise to every scenario as long as we are not divided. It is in fact up to London how this will end, with a good deal, no deal, or no Brexit. But in each of these scenarios, we will protect our common interest only by being together.
Yes, he said that basically the EU must stay together, or it will fail. Of course, under EU law, a trade deal would have to be signed when the United Kingdom becomes a so-called third country, which means it would also probably have to be ratified by parliaments in member states. And this is something that's going to be complicated and convoluted. Of course, the EU's chief negotiator, Michael Barnier, has suggested negotiations on a UK-EU trade deal could take 3 years if they begin in December. Of course, they don't have 3 years. My opinion of what is going on in the EU, they are trying to force the United Kingdom to remain in the EU, despite the vote in the United Kingdom. Okay? Despite the vote, now, the Brexit talks are going very slowly, and there's not a whole lot of progress every day. But they are happening. And I think they're just going to either have to pick up the pace. Now, Theresa May made some comments this past week that have spooked executives of companies in the United Kingdom. And companies have become increasingly vocal in recent weeks about fears that Britain could crash out of the world's biggest trading bloc without any deal. So, May consistently says a transition period will be agreed because she truly believes she will have an agreement on a future trade deal by March 2019. She's the only person in the world who thinks this is possible. Well, folks, the way people tend to babble on and not getting anything done, if their politicians are anything like ours, it ain't happening, kids. Not before the end of 2019. All right, I have reached the bottom of the hour, and yes, that means it is time to pay those radio station bills. So I am going to take a commercial break, and I will see you on the other side. Join me in the chat room at KLRNRadio.com/chat.
Okay, if you wanna, you can play dead if you wanna, forget what they say, and if you wanna, turn your back on the country needing you right now, but I don't wanna.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, $1,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
You can lay down if you wanna. You can run away if you wanna. You can pretend that this is totally okay if you wanna. You can play dead if you wanna. Forget what they said if you wanna. Turn your back on the country needing you right now, but I don't wanna.
All right, thank y'all for hanging in there with me while we paid those radio station bills. All right. The two aircraft carriers. A second aircraft carrier strike group has been deployed to South Korea. Now, the USS Ronald Reagan strike group is there. There is now a second nuclear-powered Nimitz aircraft carrier to patrol the waters off South Korea. It's the USS Theodore Roosevelt and the Theodore Roosevelt Carrier Strike Group. It was originally headed for the Persian Gulf. The USS Ronald Reagan Strike Group is already docked in the Korean port of Busan. Now, if those of you regular listeners know that last week I talked about a picture of a submarine that was part of that strike group, the USS Michigan. And that particular submarine had two very interesting looking humps or bumps, whatever you want to call them. They kind of look like coffins, but I promise you they're not. They're huge oversize. They are docks for SEAL delivery vehicles. Yes, SEAL delivery vehicles. Now, what is an SDV or a SEAL delivery vehicle? All right. It is an insertion device for United States Navy SEALs that allows them to come up almost right on a beach or even take a river into a country. Yes. The fact that these vehicles... Now, the Navy doesn't like to put these things on submarines unless they're needed. Why? Well, because they slow the submarine down, they make them easier to spot underwater, and they are generally a pain in the 6 o'clock to get on and off. So the fact that there was not one, but two, on the USS Michigan, in my mind, is significant. Now, could North Korea sink an aircraft carrier? I'm not so sure. However, let's talk about Iran for a minute, because we all know, and if you're a regular listener to this show, you know that Iran and North Korea are best of buddies and trading partners. Now, Admiral al-Fadavi of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps' Navy has claimed his force is capable of sinking American aircraft carriers in the event of a war. Of course, a month later, it carried out a mock attack on basically on a propaganda video mock-up that, of course, didn't shoot back, and blew the floating barge to smithereens. Now, why is the fact that there are 2 aircraft carriers in one place significant? All right. It's highly unusual. It is highly unusual. Because we don't normally put 2 people or 2 vessels of this magnitude in the same geographic location. And it has not been since 1990. Yes, 1990. That the USS Carl Vinson was in the area for training in the 1990s. That there were 2 aircraft carriers immediately off the Korean Peninsula. Now, they might be in the region, but rarely do you put 2 of your biggest, baddest fighting machines in the same location. You usually spread your assets out. Why are they there? I don't know. All I can say is that it's not a good sign. If you are someone who likes to read the tea leaves, of course, the U.S. Navy website states the strike group is in the area to conduct maritime security operations, theater security cooperation, and port visits as part of the Navy's ongoing presence in the Indo-Asia Pacific region. In other words, we're there because we want to be there. I'm going to say it's one of 3 reasons. Because of President Trump's trip, or because something's going to happen after his trip. Now, why do I say this? First of all, North Korea has another holiday coming up, my friends. And you know what they like to do on their holidays. Oh yeah, we all do. Now, we all know North Korea likes to set off what I like to call illegal fireworks. Before and during their holidays. And Japan re-elected Shinzo Abe. And according to China, the call for, Shinzo Abe basically doubled down. He called a snap election and he won. And he didn't just squeak by. He came in with a mandate. This wasn't just a little win. Now, China is saying the fact that Abe got reelected is dangerous for peace in Asia, because Abe's agenda has taken shape in a number of ways. Abe's agenda violates a decades-old unwritten principle that Japan's defense budget never be larger than 1% of GDP. And this principle was part of the commitment made after World War II to forever renounce military aggression. The new budget request is a whopping 5.255 billion yen. That's $481.1 billion, which is 2.5% of Japan's GDP for 2018. The request includes new land-based missile defense systems to monitor space and provide auto warnings for missile launches. This technology, of course, would assist in detecting potential missiles launched from North Korea and could theoretically intercept them. And of course, they want to beef up their navy because, well, let's not forget, North Korea has launched not one, but two missiles over Japan. Now, they were high enough to be outside of Japanese airspace, but all the alarms still sounded, and people were still freaked out, worried, and panicked. Abe's victory confirms that Japanese people take the threats of North Korea very seriously. Their fears may play into a developing brinksmanship between Japan and North Korea. Well, listen, I'm sorry, their fears are well-founded. And North Korea and Japan do not have the best of relationships. In fact, if you ever go looking at the time in Pyongyang and you look it up, you will note that it is half an hour behind Seoul, South Korea. Why? Real simple. Kim Jong-un set back the clock half an hour. However, he did it because he claimed he was taking back time stolen from them by Japan. Now, North Korea is still up to their old tricks. Believe it or not, the taxis outside Pyongyang are 43-year-old Volvo cars. And North Korea hasn't made a payment on them. They bought them on credit. They never bothered to pay them. So North Korea owes Sweden quite a bit of money. Now, of course, I'm not sure how valuable other than to a collector these vehicles would be at this point. But I will say that they are quite valuable to the pampered pooches of Pyongyang. Now, there were multiple press conferences about the arrival of the second carrier battle group. And when a carrier battle group is deployed, they literally have to be ready for anything. They were supposed to go deal to replace the USS Nimitz. Now, that's not the only thing going on. Then we have the U.S. Air Force is preparing to deploy its first combat-ready squadron of F-35A stealth fighters. Guess what region? Yep. Kadena Air Base on Japan. Okinawa, Japan. Starting in early November. It is a deployment scheduled to last 6 months. The F-35 are deploying under the auspices of U.S. Pacific Command's so-called Theater Security Program. Of course, it's designed to demonstrate our commitment to stability and security in the region. And of course, they'll probably fly a variety of missions, and they are stealth. North Korea doesn't even know they're there until they're already gone, unless we tell them. No joke. All right. However, I will say Trump is not going to visit the DMZ. Nope. He's not. Why? Well, if you ask the administration, it is because he doesn't want to ratchet up tensions. If you ask me, it is because of security. But he doesn't want to be seen as weak. So he is going to go visit Camp Humphreys, which is near the DMZ, but not part of it. Now, of course, U.S. President Donald Trump is likely to visit American troops at a newly expanded U.S. military base. And his visit to Seoul is November 7th and 8th. He's most likely going to visit Camp Humphreys. It's a relatively new major base on a major one on the peninsula. Remember, my friends, there are 28,000, give or take, troops in South Korea. And there have been so since the Korean War that ended in a ceasefire, not a peace treaty. That means that this could go hot at any time. Now, I've heard rumors that he's going to visit more than one base, but I can't speculate, and I have no clue. But at this point, he is not likely to visit the DMZ. Now, one last thing. Defense chiefs of South Korea, U.S., and Japan agreed Monday to provide ammunition for the diplomacy-based denuclearization of North Korea, holding trilateral talks on the sidelines of the ASEAN Security Forum. It's the Asia Region Conference. South Korea Defense Minister Song Yong-moo had his first group meeting with his American and Japanese counterparts, Mattis and Odonero. No, it's not Odiero. They are visiting the Clark Freeport Zone northwest of Manila to attend the 4th ASEAN Defense Ministers meeting. The ministers of the three countries agree to cooperate cooperate actively in order to support diplomatic efforts. And of course, they understand the weight of war. However, friends, I'm not sure how much diplomacy is left. And just to remind all of you, some of my North Korea favorites. Gonna play at least one or two. Gotta do it. Just trying to get it queued up.
That's going to take a little bit of time, but it has already started to take effect. What we are seeing is they continue to be provocative, they continue to be reckless, and at that point, there's not a whole lot the Security Council is going to be able to do from here when you've cut 90% of the trade and 30% of the oil. So, having said that, I have no problem kicking it to General Mattis because I think he has plenty of options.
Now, this is a little bit older, but it's a great one nonetheless.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We had a small group national security meeting today with the President and the Vice President about the latest provocation on the Korean Peninsula. We have many military options, and the President wanted to be briefed on each one of them. We made clear that we have the ability to defend ourselves and our allies, South Korea and Japan, from any attack, and our commitments among the allies are ironclad. Any threat to the United States or its territories, including Guam, or our allies, will be met with a massive military response, a response both effective and overwhelming. Kim Jong-un should take heed of the United Nations Security Council's unified voice. All members unanimously agreed on the threat North Korea poses, and they remain unanimous in their commitment to the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. Because we are not looking to the total annihilation of a country, namely North Korea. But as I said, we have many options to do so. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Secretary Mattis, do you believe they've got a...
Now, he did not elaborate. Now, here's something I thought was an oldie but a goodie.
The diplomatic and other efforts of the past 20 years to bring North Korea to a point of denuclearization have failed. So we have 20 years of failed approach.
Boy, do you ever, Tillerson. And don't forget this one.
10 years ago, the North Koreans transferred a plutonium production reactor to Syria. It was crushed by the Israelis. If it had not been crushed, that reactor could be providing plutonium not only to Syrians, but to others who have traipsed through Syria, and these are pretty unsavory folks. And that's an image that goes to nuclear terrorism we don't like to contemplate. So we need to somehow impress upon the North Koreans that's not a move we want to see again.
Just as a reminder, my friends, North Korea is a weapons proliferation state. What does that mean? That means that they sell every weapon system they have ever developed. Let that sink in. They sell every weapon system they have ever developed. One more.
If the United States persists in enter the DPRK, the sanctions, without understanding its rival, the administration will have to take full responsibility for the ensuring catastrophic the consequences. The United States should mind that the DPRK nuclear strike capability will be strengthened and developed at a rapidly high speed as long as the United States insists its entire policy, nasty nuclear threat and blackmail, and sanction and pressure.
All right, to translate that real quick, it means as long as the U.S. continues putting pressure on North Korea, they're going to develop nuclear weapons. One last quick clip.
Between 1994 and 2008, North Korea did 16 ballistic missile tests and 1 nuclear test. Since January of 2009, they have done 71 missile tests, including 4 nuclear tests. The leader in North Korea has made no effort to have dialogue with any other country in the region, not just the United States, but that includes China, South Korea, Russia. Absolutely no interest in talking.
All right, folks, I have run over, so guess what? You regulars, fasten your, know what's coming? You new listeners, buckle your seatbelts and hang on for the ride because I'm out of here!